Vaginas, 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 vagina, 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 vagina. Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to my channel. So friends, today we are going to be talking all about vaginas. Vagina, 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 vagina. So we are now living in 2019, we are living in the 21st century, and unfortunately, why this is the way it is, I don't know, I'll never know, but there is such a taboo around us talking about our vaginas and around us even saying the word vagina. Like, how goddamn dare you even say that word? Even though it's just a part of your body, how dare you? And the less we talk, the less information we have, and the less information we have, the more myths that start to spread and float around out there about our vaginas. And there's so much false information out there about our vaginas that it's just insane. It's like a whole different world. I genuinely don't understand this taboo. Like, we talk about our legs or our arms or our mouth or our eyes or our hands or our fingers and nobody bats an eyelid, but as soon as we mention the word vagina, oh goddamn, oh goddamn. So friends, today I want to discuss some of the myths that are floating around out there about our vaginas, and just have an open, honest conversation about our vaginas, talk about the myths, then talk about what's actually true, not this false information that's always floating around out there, which can be so damaging for people, especially because we don't feel comfortable. You know, a lot of us don't feel comfortable talking about these kinds of subjects, which is just, shouldn't be the way it is. So yeah, I really just kind of want to use my channel as a little way to kind of make us feel more comfortable talking about our vaginas and talking about our bodies, because god damn, we all have bodies, so why can't we just talk openly about them? So yeah, I just kind of want to make my channel a little safe place where we can talk about taboo things, even though they're things that shouldn't be taboo. So let's get rid of the taboo because it's just so unnecessary. So some of these myths are things that I have personally heard from friends, from family, from you guys on the internet, things I've seen floating around out there, and then some of these myths I did do a little bit of research on. So yeah, let's just dive right on in, shall we? So the first myth, and an extremely common myth, is that if you use your vagina too much, that it'll get loose. Yeah, you heard it. Loose. This is so false. Like, this is so false. No vibrator, no dildo, no hand, no penis, no baby will stretch your vagina permanently. It's just not gonna happen. So anything that stretches your vagina is only temporary. Your vagina will always bounce back. The walls of your vagina are so very stretchy and they're like elastic. So this is such a piece of false information that is floating around out there, and I myself have heard this so many times. Like, you would often hear it. It's like, oh, she slept with like 50 people, she's as wide as a hallway, or like these mental sayings you do hear people say. I know growing up I used to hear them phrases so much in school, and it actually used to terrify me. Like, I literally used to be like, oh my god, like, if I have sex with somebody, does that mean that nobody else is going to want to have sex with me again because I'm going to be so loose? Like, it's such BS. So the next myth is that your vagina should lubricate on cue. So as soon as you snap your fingers, you should be sopping wet down there, and if you're not, then that is a problem. There is a problem, but that is not actually true. Not everybody gets wet right before sex, and that's actually perfectly normal, even if you're in your 20s. So that is nothing to be concerned about. Certain medications can cause a lack of lubrication, along with hormonal changes that happen during breastfeeding, approaching the menopause, and also going through the menopause. So something else that could cause vaginal dryness is actually foreplay. Foreplay is actually a huge reason for a lot of women not getting very wet before sex. Penises and vaginas are so different. Like, men really don't necessarily need foreplay before sex, but we really do. Like, women really do need foreplay, and foreplay makes the world of difference, because if you are going to have sex and you're not wet, it makes it painful and not pleasurable. So it makes the world of difference. If you're not wet, you're not going to enjoy it. Other factors that might cause vaginal dryness is the likes of the novelty of having a long-term partner, if you guys have just been together for so long, you know, the novelty kind of wears off, or if you're just goddamn exhausted at the end of the day. You know, some people, like if you've got kids, you've got a house, you've got a family, you've got so much you're juggling, a job, so there's so many reasons why your vagina might not be lubricating on cue, and to be honest, our vaginas don't lubricate on cue, and it's just not the way our vaginas work. But the good news is that there is lubricant, so you can buy lube in like any pharmacy, in any shop. Always just make sure you're using a water-based lube and not an oil-based lube. If you are using condoms, you can use the likes of coconut oil as lube, but they won't work with condoms, because if you're using coconut oil and then you're using a condom, the oil is actually going to break down the latex. So just make sure you're using the right lube if you are if you are using lube. But yeah, it's not something to be concerned about. It's extremely normal. Most women will suffer with vaginal dryness before sex at some stage in their lives, so don't be stressing about it. So the next myth, and I feel like this is one for the men especially, like, oh, I can't. Okay, so the next myth is that women should be able to orgasm through intercourse. Only about a quarter of women regularly orgasm through intercourse, and there is a darn good reason for that, my friend. And oh, how many times have I heard a man say, oh, did you come? Did you come? Did you come? Because I stuck it in, you should have came. Did you have an orgasm? It's like, baby boy, you do not just stick it in and I'm gonna have an orgasm. Like, you know, educate yourself. So the majority of your nerve endings are actually in your clitoris, if you didn't know that, and the clitoris is actually the biological equivalent of the head of the penis. So they actually say that a woman trying to orgasm from penetration alone, so no stimulation of the clitoris, is the exact same as a man trying to orgasm from having his testicles rubbed. Yes, it might feel good, but just not how the body works. But then again, not everything that does stimulate your clitoris is going to get you off. You know, different things work for different people. Some women can't orgasm or get off from oral sex, from fingering, from penetration, from anything. And if you can't, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. But so don't be stressing out about it. We're just all completely different. Our bodies work in different ways. And, you know, if you can't do something, you're not letting your partner down. And just don't stress about it. And most importantly, don't ever lie about having an orgasm. I feel like that's something really important that does just have to be said, because I feel like that's where men think they just have to stick it in and you're going to have an orgasm, is because so many women do be like, oh, I've had an orgasm, that was amazing, and they didn't. Like, they're just saying it to shut them up, or just like, you know, when fellas are like, oh, did you come? And they're like, yeah, oh my god. But I feel like that's the damaging thing, because then men don't actually think they've got to do anything but stick it in for us to have an orgasm, when really we aren't gonna have an orgasm most of the time when you just stick it in. We need penetration of our clitoris. Okay, thanks, bye. So the next myth is that periods should be painful, and this is extremely untrue. A majority of people who do get a period do get menstruation cramps, but if you are in excruciating pain and you physically cannot function, there is probably something more serious going on, because your period shouldn't be affecting your everyday to-day life that extremely when you do have your period. So it can point to a number of issues, from poor diet to dehydration, or it could be something more extreme, like a health condition like PCOS or endometriosis. I think I'm saying that right. But they actually say that a good indicator is that if over-the-counter pain relief like Panadol, ibuprofen, Nurofen doesn't help ease your pain, that it's probably best to go and see a doctor. So the next myth is that vibrators take away sensation. So basically, from overuse of a vibrator, that your vagina is going to get less and less sensitive, and you're not going to be able to feel things as well as you once did. And this is so false. This is so false. Like, where did this even come from? So the good news is that no matter how many times you use a vibrator, your vagina is just going to keep doing its thing. Honeybee is just going to keep doing its thing. You know, it might feel a little bit desensitized or whatever the case might be after a session of using your vibrator, you know, get a session getting done and dirty, but it will always bounce back and go straight to normal after a little bit. You know, if you've had a bit of an intense session, that might happen, but it always will keep doing its thing, and it's not going to get rid of any sensations in your vagina. So do not don't worry about that. Saying that, what they do actually say is that if you only ever use a vibrator to have an orgasm, your body might get used to that way, because the pressure obviously of a vibrator, you know, no bodily function, no bodily part can replicate the feeling of a vibrator. So if you are having trouble kind of having an orgasm any other way, but you can have one with a vibrator, maybe just switch it up a little bit and don't use your vibrator as much as you normally would, and kind of start experimenting with other things like oral, like with your partner, or your hands. So yeah, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. If you do feel like you can only orgasm through using a vibrator, it might just be a case that your body's just very used to like the intense motion, will I say. And also, if you have never owned a vibrator, I really highly would recommend one. Like seriously, I can't even, like, you know, it's amazing. I genuinely felt like a brand new woman the first time I used a vibrator. I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing out on all these years. Jesus, where have I been? Living under a goddamn rock. So the next myth is that your vagina requires a special cleaning routine, and oh my days, holy moly guacamole. I'm sure you've heard this one so many times. Like, you would often hear about douching, which is the most common way to clean your vagina, because you've got to clean your vagina, you know, to keep it, you know, smelling nice and all. Jesus. So basically, douching is where you'll get the head of the shower or whatever and kind of aim it at your vagina to wash it and clean it and give it a good clean and, you know, all that jazz. But douching actually does more harm than good. Not only is it extremely unnecessary, but it's also washing away all the good healthy bacteria in your vagina. So yeah, your vagina does not require a special cleaning routine. Honest to God, all you need, they literally say water is perfectly fine to just wash your vagina with. And if you want to use something else, use a natural soap, or else use a feminine wash. But there's also kind of mixed opinions about feminine washes out there. So genuinely water, like, you don't need anything more than water, because our vagina is self-cleaning. Discharge helps clean our vagina. That is the purpose of discharge. It is not dirty. It is there to clean our vaginas and to help prevent infection. So yeah, so the next myth is that you can't get pregnant on your period, and this is another extremely common myth, and this is an extremely dangerous myth, because a lot of people do actually believe this, and it's so false. You can get pregnant on your period. Your fertility fluctuates throughout your cycle, so even on your least fertile days you can still get pregnant, and you know, sperm can live in your body for 2 to 3 and up to 5 days. So if you had sex near the end of your period or whatever it may be, and you could have early ovulation and the sperm could be staying in your body for 5 days, you could get pregnant. And you can still catch STIs, sexually transmitted infections, diseases on your period. So you should always be using protection both for STIs and both for pregnancy. So kind of in relation to one of the myths I just spoke about, but that having discharge means that there's a problem with your vagina. I don't know how many messages I've received since I started my channel. Whenever I put up, you know, questions for a Q&A or a topical Q&A, I always get questions about discharge and saying, why do I have discharge? Is there something wrong with me? Oh my god, like, I have discharge every day, I'm so dirty, da 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 da. It is so goddamn normal. So normal. I can't even stress it enough. So as I said, discharge is our way of keeping our vaginas clean and helping fight against infection. Some people only get a tiny bit that they wouldn't even notice it. Some people get a lot that they have to change their underwear throughout the day. You know, person to person it's going to vary. So if you speak to your friends and they're like, oh, I hardly get any, and you're like, oh, I get so much, like, I've got to change my knickers like 3 times a day, god damn. It's so normal. Everybody's body is completely different, just the same way as none of our other body parts are the exact same as anybody else's. You know, I have small boobs, my friend has huge boobs, because we're different, you know, we're different people, and it's perfectly normal. So I'm just going to read out what discharge isn't actually normal. So discharge that's green, milky grey, frothy or cottage cheese like in consistency is when you do need to go to a doctor. So if you've kind of got any of that discharge, then there is a problem, probably like an infection or something, but most of the time discharge is absolutely nothing to be concerned about. So the next myth is that bacterial vaginosis is an STI, so that it's a sexually transmitted infection, but this is so false. And they actually did a survey, and 60% of women actually believed that bacterial vaginosis was a sexually transmitted infection, which just shows how damaging these goddamn myths really are. So bacterial vaginosis is actually an overgrowth of bad bacteria that's naturally found in our vaginas, and it occurs due to a pH imbalance. So it is actually not an STI, it is an infection. So bacterial vaginosis is just the same as thrush, so it's just an infection. We get thrush when there's an overgrowth of yeast in our vaginas, and we get bacterial vaginosis when there is an overgrowth of bad bacteria that is naturally found in our vaginas. And most women will get bacterial vaginosis throughout their life, just like most women will get thrush throughout their life. That just blows my mind. It's actually scary that so many people thought that was an STI. You know, this is why we need to be so much more comfortable talking about our vaginas and talking about our bodies, because otherwise we're believing such dangerous false information out there. So the next myth is that infections are caused by bad hygiene, and this is so false. It's actually the opposite. A lot of infections in our vagina can actually be caused by wanting to be clean and by actually like cleaning in the wrong ways per se. So vaginal infections are very rarely down to how often or how little you wash, because our vagina is a self-cleaning organ, and it helps fight infection on our own. Vaginal infections rarely have anything to do with our hygiene at all. But the good bacteria that helps keep our vaginas clean and helps fight infection can be disrupted by using perfumed shower gels, perfumed body washes, medicated washes, having baths, shower gel, and using all these kinds of products down there is what can cause infection. And this is why you shouldn't ever use perfume stuff or anything down there. You know, a lot of people feel like, you know, they need to kind of spray stuff down there and all to keep it fresh and all this jazz, but that is not true. So the next myth is that the first time you have sex should be painful, and we have all heard this one. Oh boy, we have all heard this one. I feel like we've all been told this in our younger years. The first time you have sex is going to be so painful. You're going to bleed, you're going to hurt, you're going to cry. It's going to be an awful experience. No wonder so many of us were so traumatized to lose our goddamn virginity. No wonder. What do you expect with that kind of attitude? So the reason they tend to say it's going to hurt is down to your hymen breaking or tearing, but this is so false. Oh my god, and this is such another damaging myth. Like, goddamn society, goddamn. So the truth is that the hymen doesn't actually have to be broken. It only covers a very small portion of your vagina. Your hymen can actually stretch or tear at different points throughout your life, and you know, you might have even broken or torn it without you even realizing, by playing sports, riding a bike, putting in a tampon, whatever it may be. You've probably even broken it without even realizing, and you wouldn't have realized because it didn't hurt. So they did a survey, and 67% of people with vaginas did not bleed the first time they had sex, and neither did I. I didn't bleed the first time I had sex. This is a load of false information. 67% is the majority out of 100. That is huge. So the main reason why sex will hurt the first time you have sex will be down to you being very stressed and worried and tense about the situation. The best advice would be to be with somebody you trust. So important when you're losing your virginity. You know, you're gonna be worried, you're gonna be stressed. You know, doing it with someone you trust is so important. Take it slow, be easy, and just relax. You need to just relax and let all your muscles relax. And if it's not going in easily, use lubricant. Foreplay is so important. I can't stress that enough, especially if it's your first time. Goddamn, so important. But yeah, it's not, most of the time it's not going to hurt, you're not going to bleed. It's such a myth, and it's more so about your approach to it, you know, because if you're stressed and tense, your vagina is going to tense up as well, you know. So just relax and enjoy the moment. So the next myth is that your vagina size depends on your build, and there's another one that says petite girls have a smaller, prettier, tucked away vajayjay. Like, what? Like, think. So there is little or no evidence with how the height and build of a woman has anything to do with how big or small her vagina is. There is just very little to no evidence to explain that. So the size and shape of vaginas vary from person to person, and there is no standard of vagina. So everybody's are completely different, just like the way everybody's boobs, everybody's nipples, everybody's noses, everybody's mouths, everybody's legs, everybody's bums, everybody's hair. So my camera cut out in the middle of my song, and that was extremely rude, so now I don't know where I was. Everybody's eyebrows, everybody's ears, everybody's tongues. You catch my drift. So basically, you know, no two humans have the same body parts, and the vagina is another body part, so it varies from person to person. So our vaginas are also very stretchy and can expand or contract during sex, during childbirth, during hormonal fluctuations, etc. So yeah, there is no one size fits all. So friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this and maybe learned a thing or two, and you know, maybe you're getting a bit more comfortable by talking about your vagina and learning about your vagina, loving your goddamn vagina. But yeah, if you would like a part 2 to this, definitely do let me know, because there are so many myths out there that need to be busted and we need to tell the goddamn truth. So yeah, let me know if you would like a part 2 to this. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I cannot wait to see you all in my next video, and I love you all so very much. Mwah. Bye bye friends.